You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro Sushi, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, and Alok Trivedi. Let's hustle.
Alright guys, welcome to episode number 15 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today we have a really cool guest. His name's Tabor Smith, and here's Jim Chester to tell you all about him.
So some of you may know about dental hygiene. Dr. Tabor Smith is going to talk to us a little bit about his program called Spinal Hygiene. Stay tuned.
What's your chiropractic story, and what influenced you to become a doctor?
So, awesome. Thank you for asking that question. I didn't know what a chiropractor was. My family did not know what a chiropractor was. And I was a teenager. I played a lot of sports. My dad was a high school basketball coach, and I played basketball year-round, 12 hours a day if I could. And I got to be a junior in high school. I tried out for the varsity team because my dad was the varsity basketball coach. It was like my dream to play varsity basketball for my dad. I made the team, but right about that time, I started having this lower back pain and these issues with these sharp stabbing pains in my low back and in my hips. And so my parents just did what any normal parent would do, right, is give me over-the-counter medications. I was on Tylenol, Advil, aspirin, anything that could dull the pain for a little while because it kept getting worse. And so then during some practices, I'd have to sit out because the back pain was so bad. And my dad thought, well, let's take Tabor to the doctor. So I remember I went to the medical doctor for a visit, and all he did was give me stronger pain pills, anti-inflammatories, and muscle relaxers. And so I would try to take those, and I would try to practice, I would try to play, and they would dull the pain for maybe 30 minutes, but not that sharp pain. I would move in a certain position, and it got so bad it would shoot like shocking pains down my legs. That's how intense it was. And one night I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was my body just went into this crazy spasm. I was screaming. My parents were scared, didn't know what to do, so they took me to the emergency room. And after all these tests and x-rays and all these types of things, I left with stronger medications and a referral to an orthopedic surgeon. And so that was really a scary time in my life because I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew I couldn't even play basketball with my friends, the thing I loved to do. And right about that time, I had a family member, an uncle, who was having really good results with a chiropractor he was seeing in our local town. And he told my dad, he was like, just take Tabor to the chiropractor and just let him check him. You don't have to let him do anything, just let him check Tabor out. So I thank God he did. It was the best decision my parents ever made for me was to take me to the chiropractor. And I'll never forget, they took x-rays, and the chiropractor sat down with me, and he showed me an area in my lower spine that was shifted. I tell my patients it was shifted so far forward it caused a stress fracture in my lower back. Of course, we know it was spondylitic. Spondylolisthesis is the term for it in my lower back. And the chiropractor said, look, I can help you. And he didn't tell me it was going to be a quick fix. He said, this is going to take some time, but we can make it stronger. We can put it in a better alignment. We can take pressure off the nerve. It's going to get better. And I remember leaving with hope. That's the cool thing was like, sometimes you leave in the medical field with like depression, it feels like, and they're just giving you and I left the chiropractor with hope. It was like so awesome. I said, I definitely want to do this. Please, Mom, Dad, let me do this. And I started going to the chiropractor every other morning before school. And I tell my patients that the chiropractor was right. It wasn't a quick fix. But within 2-3 months, I was strong, I was better, I was able to do the things I wanted to do without pain, and I stayed with that chiropractor. I've been under chiropractic since. In fact, it was so motivational for me to get out of that horrible, debilitating pain and get strong. I played college basketball, actually, for a couple of years. I tell people if it wasn't for chiropractic, I never would have been able to do the things I did, and that's why I wanted to not only find out how I could keep my spine healthy for the rest of my life, but I wanted to be able to do that and help other people do the same thing. So I went to chiropractic school, and but that's my story. That's an intense story, but that's what happened to me.
That's a pretty inspiring and amazing story, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
So, what would you say makes you unique in the chiropractic world?
So, great question there too. So, let me kind of continue on with that story. And the reason why I have what I call a wellness practice, we do corrective care, but I also have wellness practice. So we're family, we have moms, dads, babies, pediatric certified. Like we treat entire family for lifetime care. And the reason why that happened, you're like, well, you came in, you went to, you found chiropractic through back pain, right? And I was like, yeah, thank God I found chiropractic through back pain, and it changed my life. But then I went to chiropractic school, and 1 year into chiropractic school, I get a phone call in the middle of the night from my brother. And you can hear a voice when something is not good, right? And that's the tone my brother's voice had. He said, Tabor, you need to get home. He said, Mom passed away, and come home as soon as you can. And so I went home. My mom was 47 years old. She passed away in the middle of the night from a massive heart attack. And anybody who's been through that, it's tough. You have to go through all the things. We were trying to clean out a room. My parents were separated, so it was like my mom lived by herself in a house, and we were trying to clean up everything. And I found her overnight case. And this was an overnight case that it never left her side. She kept it with her all the time. And so I was pulling out prescription after prescription after prescription medication out of this overnight case. And I counted 21 prescription medications that my mom was taking at the time when she passed away. And that's when it hit me. Number one, that my mom had never been checked by a chiropractor. She'd been to medical doctors, she had been in the hospital, but I found chiropractic through back pain. We thought chiropractic was all about back pain, and I was learning differently once I went to school. The chiropractic was about the function of the entire body, and I realized my mom's body there's no wonder it was functioning horribly, because her spine must have been a wreck. And secondly, I noticed, and I realized, it was like an epiphany, that my mom was always looking for, quote unquote, the cure. Like there would be this pill somewhere that you could take it, and from the outside of your body, you could put it on the inside of the body, and then it would just fix everything. And there's so many people out there looking for that pill, that cure. And the reality is it does not exist. It actually exists, but it's already inside of us. That was the beautiful epiphany that I had, that your body heals. It's amazing. And you have this power that if I cut my finger in a couple of weeks' time, it mends. And I realize it's not about pouring all this stuff inside of you, trying to get it to work right. It's about finding out where's the interference that's keeping it from doing what it's already designed to do. And that was when I just had this pivotal shift, and I think that's what makes me different. And a lot of chiropractors, I'm sure that you even have on the show, is we come from a place knowing that the body's already designed to heal and be well, and that we're not trying to add all this stuff to it. We're just trying to find what's interfering with it and remove that. And that's what we try to do in our offices for our patients, and educate our patients about that as well.
Well, I'm going to jump into the interview process with you now, and I used to think the same way, Tabor. I used to think that there was some magic pill that people could take to be healthy, and right. It's not, minimizing anybody's, knowledge or intellect or, stance on life or worldviews or any of that.
Right.
It's just a matter of people don't know.
No, and I tell my patient, I say, look, I have nothing against medicine. In fact, I'm very grateful to the medical, community for saving my mom's life several times. Like, she'd have to go to emergency room. She'd have to go, and they did surgeries. They did things for her that prolonged her life, no doubt. So I'm more upset with chiropractors because we've dropped the ball in sharing that the spine should be checked from birth. And that misalignments, that subluxations interfere with the function of the body. My mom never really got that message, right? So I think it's more chiropractic's fault for not sharing that than anything against medicine. They have their purpose, they serve their purpose. So.
Well, before we want to continue anymore, I just want to say that I am sorry to hear about your mom, and I've lost a few people similar to that way, so I kind of know what it's like, and
yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And I'm going to kick back into you, and I do have sympathy for you as well for losing loved ones to a broken medical model. I've also experienced that in my life too. So, I think about so many people that have lost people near and dear to them because they just didn't have the right, connection to understanding that the body is powerful and can heal itself. It doesn't need anything extra in it. It simply needs no interference.
Right. Absolutely.
And those chiropractic principles, though, I mean, that they spill over, and we just don't know how to get them to people.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And just to kind of add a little bit of a appendix to that question that you just asked, like what makes me different. So that epiphany that I had, it motivated me to help create a system that people could use in their lives on a daily basis to help them take care of the health of their spine. I use a lot of dental analogies. You know me, Jim, just from hanging out with me there. But it's like dentistry's done a great job of teaching people how to take care of their teeth. Even if they don't visit a dentist as often as they should, they understand there are some principles about dentistry, about your teeth, that if you keep them free of bacteria, if you brush them daily, if you floss areas, like you're going to prevent deterioration of your teeth, at least to a certain extent. And but right now, in today's day and age, spinal degeneration is rampant. My mom had severe spinal arthritis and degeneration because her spine had just deteriorated from never actually taking care of it. And so our patients get kind of a unique education in what I call spinal hygiene, and that's teaching people from a young age that there are exercises, there are stretches, there are things that we can do on a daily basis, just like brushing your teeth, that can help keep your spine in health in three different areas: spinal alignment, spinal range of motion, and spinal strength. Those three areas are vital to the health of your nervous system. And so by educating my patients that not only do they need to do that on a daily basis, they need to come in for regular checkups to get their subluxations corrected, because just like dentistry, if you get a cavity, you can't brush it out, right? You can brush your teeth for hours and you're not going to brush a cavity out. You got to go to a dentist to have that corrected. You got to come to my office to have subluxations corrected. But then between those visits, I want my patients doing something at home to keep spinal health on the forefront of their mind and give them a bigger awareness of what spinal health is.
Yeah, I'm following right where you are. I think that we need to do a lot more to leverage information to people about the truth of chiropractic. And the more real life you can make that to them and make real life connections, saying, hey, if you get a cavity in your spine, we can't really fix that. We're not like the dental industry where we can like pop the mouth open and look in there and find out where there's a cavity and then take some tools and grind it down and refill it back in. That's just not happening, at least not at this point in the world that we know it to be when it comes to spinal care.
Right, and I use that as well. I use that analogy to say, look, a dentist can, your teeth are on the outside. Those are they're bone, but the dentist can get to that bone. Like, you don't want me cutting your back open every time I'm looking for a misalignment, right? So that's why you actually have to come regularly and more often than you would a dentist. If you go to a dentist maybe once every 6 months to get your teeth cleaned, you need to come in my office at minimum once every other week, because studies show that fixation of a joint left over 14 days can develop adhesions, and those adhesions can turn into osteoarthritis. And I'm trying to prevent your spine from deteriorating. So in order for us to prevent subluxation, you need to be coming in my office regularly. Yeah.
But that takes me back to this whole thing of where your portal of entry to chiropractic was too, Tabor, and your portal of entry was a pain-based portal. Right. And most people, that's like their wake-up call. They're like, oh, I need to go see the chiropractor because I have something sore.
Right.
And I think that's where, the conversation starts for a lot of people. And I've interviewed enough people to this point that's honestly where a lot of their conversations started with how they became a chiropractor. They had something go on with them where they couldn't do something that they enjoyed to do, and it caused them some type of dysfunction and disability in their life. Next thing you know, they go see the chiropractor, and wow, they decided to go on a career to become a chiropractor.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. That's common. And I even have, I teach a lot about wellness and a lot about retention, and I have chiropractors that tell me, like, well, my patients won't pay for wellness. My patients will only pay for pain relief and all these types of things. And I say, really, that is an example of why we have no awareness out in the community, because a person will actually feel bad about not going to the dentist for a long period of time. Like, if you haven't had a checkup at the dentist for like 5 years, you're going to go, I need to get to the dentist, right? But that's because there's this awareness that dentistry preserves the health of the teeth. So you have this like feeling of like, I really need to get in for a checkup because dentistry will help me preserve the health of my teeth. There's no awareness out there in the community that chiropractic helps me preserve the health of my spine. That we need to create that. If there was that, then a person who went 5 years without getting their spine checked would be like, I've got to get to my chiropractor. I've got to get my spine checked.
Well, hopefully someday we will be at that point. Jim and I are working to push the world towards that one day at a time, just like all you other doctors, and I think we could reach that someday.
I think we have to if we want to be able to own that that mindset. We have to embrace this concept of spinal hygiene and getting people to do things on a daily basis to improve their health. Can you imagine, like, if dentistry corrected cavities, but the medical doctor, taught you how to brush your teeth, right? So that just wouldn't work. Like that. But brushing your teeth is married to dentistry. No dentist that I know of makes money selling toothbrushes, right? But they still educate about dental health and go home and brushing your teeth because they own the dental health field. If we don't grasp this as chiropractors, in my opinion, if we don't grasp it quickly and start teaching people about wellness and spinal hygiene, there's another profession that could take it and then they would own it. Like physical therapists could say, well, now we're going to start educating people about spinal hygiene and we're going to teach them to do exercises every day, and then we're going to own this concept of spinal preventative care. Like, even though they don't adjust, they don't do subluxation, if they define spinal hygiene and they begin to educate it, they could own it. And that's why I'm trying to work as hard as I can to travel and speak and do online things to train, because I feel like if we as chiropractors will own this, it will elevate chiropractic just like it did dentistry in the early 1900s. Dentists used to just pull teeth. That's all they did. But then once Dr. Alfred Phones, who's now the father of dental hygiene, he did, set off this course of this mass movement of dental hygiene, and it elevated the dental profession now to the second largest healthcare profession in the world, number one largest preventative healthcare profession in the world.
Wow. That's all pretty fascinating. I didn't know some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any mantras or quotes or motivational, mantras, I guess, that you kind of repeat to yourself on a daily basis, or any quotes that stand out to you?
I'm always reading, always trying to learn, and so like quotes are kind of coming in and going out all the time. So I'll share with you the most recent quote that I've been meditating and studying on, and it came from Garrett White. I don't know if either one of you. He's the Wake Up Warrior guy. He has a book that just came out called Warrior, and that's what I was reading. And his quote, and I'll use abbreviation for some of the bad words that he uses, but the quote is real short. It just says, "Do the effing work."
I like it.
That hit me. That hit me because it was like I'm always whining about how much work I have to do. I'm whining and trying to learn to be a good delegator, trying to hire people underneath me, trying to listen to all those gurus out there that tell me you need to be the entrepreneur and not have to do the work, just own the business and hire all these people underneath you. And then, you know what? I started reading this and I was like, you know what? I just need to take care of my own business and I just need to do the effing work. And that will help me to get my calling, my passion, my business to that next level. But I feel like we're always trying to like learn from somebody else this system that they used, and we're never really saying, okay, now learning from somebody who's already did it is very smart. It's a great thing to do. It could get you levels that you're not at yet. But at the same time, nobody can do it except you. So I just really resonated with that quote, and I actually read that this week.
It's a good quote, and it seems to resonate with us too.
Yeah, I know it does. You guys are hard workers.
Thank you. So tell me, Tabor, where do you see chiropractic in 20 years?
Personally, I see it growing. Now, I know there's a lot of it's easy. You could be on two sides of the fence. You could say, well, I see medicine taking it over and kicking us out, and we have to change our name to spinologists, and or you could look at this side and you could say, you know what? I see that there's a major, huge problem that nobody is dealing with right now, and that people's spines are degenerating at faster and faster rates than ever before. Like in the early 1900s or even before then, you didn't see spinal degeneration at 10 years old. Now, there was a study released by Scottish researchers that showed 9% of 10-year-olds in our society have spinal degeneration already because of video games, sedentary lifestyle, cell phone, computers. 40% of 20-year-olds have spinal degeneration in their spine. 40% of 20-year-olds. So it's getting worse. There's a direct correlation between sedentary lifestyles and spinal degeneration. There's multiple studies out on that alone. So that's only going to get worse, and nobody's doing anything about it. In fact, why would medicine do anything about it when now they're able to do back surgeries at younger and younger ages, and the average back surgery costs $100,000. We're used to, we could only get one back surgery in per person per lifetime. Now they're starting back surgeries in their 20s, then you get another one in your 30s, another one in your 40s, and no wonder why the medical system's the number one cause of bankruptcy is because it's so expensive and people's health are degenerating at younger and younger ages. So I feel like we actually have a perfect platform and pedestal to step up and say, look, we have a solution to an epidemic that it's crippling people and it's bankrupting people. And I feel like the universe knows what it's doing. Like, the reason why chiropractic was even I would say invented or discovered 122 years ago is because we needed it. Humans needed it. So the universe said, look, here comes this profession out of nowhere. And I feel like right now is another huge evolution in chiropractic, and we're going to step up and we're going to start helping people to prevent breakdown of their spine. And so, subluxation is something that we know we can correct and prevent degeneration and improve health. So I think chiropractic will be bigger than ever going forward in the next couple of decades. That's my prediction.
It's interesting how you have, tied all this together with problems that we're experiencing currently. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting how you've given a historical reference to it with some statistics of what's happening with, age brackets and all these things going on. And it just triggers me to say, how much would one person ever pay for a lifetime of care to a chiropractor? Say 40 years of care or 60 years of care. I mean, if we start thinking about the minimal amount of resource that people need to pay for the best life-giving resource on earth, which is chiropractic, people just don't see it as that. They see it as, I want to come for, 2 visits and have you guys crack my bones, and I want you guys to, just pop me. And yep. They don't understand that it's kind of it's a way of life, and like you explained in dentistry, it's a way of life. Who wants to grow up and have crowded teeth or an overbite or a gap between the teeth, like some of these cosmetic things that people are really worried about? But who wants to grow up from 10 years old and have spinal degeneration that only amplifies over time, that, eventually when we're, 25, 30 years old, that's debilitating.
No, you're exactly right. And I tell people, it's with back surgeries costing on average $100,000 a piece, you could bring yourself and your entire family in for wellness care for probably the rest of your life and never spend that much in my office. And you prevent one back surgery, not to mention prevent, be able to live a better life, but just prevent one back surgery. You're coming ahead of the game. You're not going to go bankrupt. You're saving $100,000 or plus. And so it's the most economic thing that you can do is to invest in your health and go to a chiropractor.
And I know earlier you mentioned on your strategy called Spinal Hygiene. Now, what could we accomplish if more people knew about that and were supportive of that movement?
So that's a great question. And I appreciate you asking me that, because a lot of people see it as like a lot of chiropractors I talk to, they see it as another thing that they're I don't need another thing to put in my office. And I'm telling them it's not another thing. It actually creates better patients for you. And we all know what a better patient means. You think of that one patient that doesn't give you, a headache every time they come in. You actually look forward to them coming in. I think of a family right now that I love it when they come in because they're happy, they're healthy, they don't have the pain, they want to get adjusted. when you give people spinal hygiene recommendations and spinal hygiene exercises to do at home, what I've noticed over the last 8 years of running my own practice is that those are the people, the ones that actually do their spinal hygiene exercises, they become the best patients. They have the best retention. They're the ones that convert to your wellness plans. They're the ones that bring their family in. And I contribute it to this factor of awareness, right? And it's why, like, people who are aware that your teeth, you know, need to be taken care of, and that it's healthy to have a good smile, and that you can prevent root canals, and you can prevent breakdown and degeneration of your teeth later if you take care of them now. Those are the best patients that a dentist has, right? So you're actually creating great patients. You're creating a practice that I call a strong practice, because I had a friend who, he had a practice. It was very pain-based, but it was like, you just come in when you're in pain. There was no treatment plan. There was no recommendation. And he did well because he billed insurance, and he had, you know, years where he'd hit $600,000-$700,000 a year, which is a strong, healthy practice if you just look at it from the books. But then he got sick, right? And he wasn't able to go into his office for a week. Well, then when he got better, he went back, and like nobody was on the books because nobody was on a plan. So then people kind of started trickling back in, but then he got really sick again. So he was out for a couple weeks. And this happened multiple times until his practice just completely dwindled. There was nobody on the books. It fell apart. He tried to sell it. He couldn't. And the reason is there was no strength. There was no like patient that understood wellness. And imagine if you're a practice that has people coming in every week just to get their spine checked. They're going to be banging on your door wondering why you're not there, because they have a standing appointment that they come in for. That's a strong practice. So chiropractors who implement this, you're not just adding something else to your practice, you're actually implementing a system that can build the strength of your practice, the long-term sellability of your practice as well.
So what key marketing strategies do you implement for your office? Like, what's the best way for you to get your message across to your audience?
So I actually go back to dentistry again with this point. I apologize for keeping on using dental analogies, but dentistry did something revolutionary that no other profession has done. They went from, you know, pulling teeth, very reactive, to the largest preventative healthcare profession in the world in less than 100 years. And so we look like, how did they do that? Well, number one, they started educating their community. That means they got out of their office and into the community to speak, to educate. They went as far as actually getting into our schools to teach our kids so that they could transform the mindset. A lot of us remember dentists coming to school and, like, you know, doing this real cool little deal where you could check your teeth and all this stuff. And so even though they didn't get direct, like, you know, you go market to a elementary school, you're not signing up new patients in that class, right? But you're giving. And in my opinion, you can't outgive the universe. And so if you're doing great things for your community and you're sharing this message of lifetime spinal health, which is a huge value, which means if you're putting out value as much as you can, just keep putting out that value, then the universe is going to say you're getting a ton of value back. And people are going to see that. And they're like, that guy was at my kid's school. That guy was at this health fair. That guy went to businesses, which is what I do. I go do lunch and learns. I teach, you know, we have a Spinal Hygiene Doctor members program. We teach how to set up lunch and learns at businesses. So we provide lunch and we teach these valuable lessons of lifetime spinal care. And because we're constantly giving and putting out that huge, huge, huge value and giving people the opportunity to come in for checkups, that's how I market my office. I think it's the new way to market for small business is not necessarily buying radio ads, not buying TV ads, not buying, you know, newspaper ads, which those things are fine. I have no problem with that if you do that. But I think the new way to market is to give value. And then what will happen, just the law of reciprocity, people will begin to come back and put value into your office.
So what would you say is your favorite app or technology to keep you engaged with your audience?
Probably use Facebook the most with my pictures, our images, our Facebook Lives, which I'm going to start kicking off doing more. I do them now and then when we do a promotion. Facebook is probably number one for at least putting my content out there. I use email a lot though still. A lot of people think email is dead, but I have an email list. My patients, they get nurture emails every week. We blast emails when we do events, and that helps us fill up events. When we do dinner with the doc, we do a dinner with the doc first Monday of every month. I send several emails the week before that so my patients know that it's coming. And then I marry that and tie that in with our Facebook page.
So what do you like to listen to and or read? Do you have any podcasts or blogs that you follow religiously?
I do, and I learned, because I was an avid book reader. Like, dude, I try to set records for myself every year to read more books the first year. Like one year I read, it was like 50. I wanted to read one book a week, and I read like 54. So it was like more than one book a week. And then the next year I discovered audiobooks. So like, dude, I read literally like 72 books or something that year. And I say I read because some of them were audio, because I could just drive and listen to it and all that stuff. And then I moved into actual online programs where they started, because books were cheap, $20, and you could listen to an audiobook for 9 hours, dude. That's just crazy ROI on your investment. But then I took a little bit of a step up, started investing in the bigger online programs to learn how to reach more people, like Brenda Burchard's Expert Academy, Grant Cardone's online university that he does, and I invested in those and started learning those as well. So I'm just an avid investor in trying to build up my mental net worth, right? And investing back into myself. But one podcast that I listen to, because I love podcasts too, Russell Brunson's, it used to be Marketing in Your Car. I don't even remember what it is now because he switched over. But that's one podcast. Every time they drop a podcast, I'll listen to it. And it's probably the number one podcast that I could recommend.
Well, I heard you say something earlier on about how, the spinal hygiene could be like the wave of the future, and Yep. how people need to get onto this program. And if people wanted to learn out more about your program with spinal hygiene, what would you say is the best way to reach out to you? Or if they wanted to find out any information from you further, what would you say the best routes are for that?
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity to give that information. You can go to spinalhygienemovement.com, and I do free webinars just about every week as well. So there's places you can opt in for the information there. We also sell spinal hygiene products that a lot of chiropractors use from that website, spinalhygienemovement.com. And then we have a new website that's coming out pretty soon that is just going to be totally involved with products, which is spinalhygieneproducts.com. So, of course, we're on Facebook as well. Spinal Hygiene Doctor is the call tag for Facebook.
Well, we're coming down towards the end of our episode of Chiro Hustle, and I just wanted to say, is there anything that you would like to add to our conversation today that we didn't maybe ask you about?
Let me think, because it's all off the fly, right? I would say just keep moving forward. I know that there are a lot of chiropractors out there listening. There may be some chiropractors out there listening that are hugely, hugely successful. But I have 2 podcasts of my own, and I found that a lot of the chiropractors that are listening are the ones that they're really trying to learn and grow, because you might even be struggling a little bit, at this time. And everybody's out there who has ever achieved any level of success has struggled in the beginning. And the only thing that every successful chiropractor has in common is that they never gave up, and they just kept moving forward. And I just want to commend the people who are listening, because you're taking the right steps. You're listening to people who know what they're doing, and then they're bringing you experts who have been there and have been in your situation. So I would just tell the listeners, keep listening, keep learning, keep implementing, and never give up.
Well, with that, I also want to commend you for investing in yourself and to becoming a chiropractor and formulating the concepts and the strategies and the systems that you follow. And now I look forward to you becoming so successful by teaching these concepts and teaching the systems that you're developing to many people, so we can really keep people healthy long term. And I say this all the time: if I don't tell you the truth about chiropractic today, somebody else will close you for drugs and surgery eventually.
Amen to that. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show, and it was really nice meeting you. I know you and Jim already know each other, but I had a fun time getting to know you for the first time.
Awesome. Well, it's very nice to meet you too as well.
And Jim's going to say goodbye too, but I just want to say enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Thank you, brother. Y'all have a great one.
And Dr. Tabor, just keep Chiro hustling, man. We appreciate you.
Will do. 100%.
All right, see ya.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.